What if this isn't just a coincidence? What if your arrival here wasn't random, but something greater nudging you forward? Of all the choices you could have made, you landed here at this precise moment with these words waiting for you. That's not an accident. That's alignment. Something in you, some quiet, almost invisible force, led you to this place, and deep down, you know it wasn't by chance. There are infinite videos, countless distractions, endless noise, but you stopped, you paused, you chose to stay. That choice matters more than you realize. Maybe you've been searching for something without fully knowing what it was. A breakthrough, a reason, a sign that the thoughts stirring inside you aren't just fleeting curiosities. Maybe something in your soul has been tapping, softly but persistently, trying to get your attention. And now that you're here listening, something is waking up. Not loudly, not all at once, but steadily, unmistakably. This isn't a message for everyone. It was created for someone ready to rise. Someone who's been sensing a shift long before words confirmed it. Someone who has questioned their path but never stopped walking. If you're still listening, that someone is you. There's a truth you've carried within yourself for a long time, longer than even you might remember. It's not loud or boastful, but it never fades. It's the part of you that believes there must be more than just existing, more than just surviving routines and waiting for weekends. It's the part that refuses to go numb, that insists on dreaming even after disappointment, that aches for depth, purpose, and meaning. That truth brought you here. You don't need to have all the answers to take your next step. You don't have to be certain to be ready. Readiness doesn't always come with clarity. Sometimes it arrives as a whisper in the dark, a gut feeling, a pull towards something unfamiliar. You're not here because you have it all figured out. You're here because you have the courage to explore what comes next. No one feels completely prepared for the life that calls them forward. No one ever looks in the mirror and sees perfection before they begin. The path to anything meaningful starts with doubt, fear, and often the smallest flicker of belief. But it's that flicker, tiny as it might seem, that can ignite everything. That spark is your proof that you haven't given up. It's your evidence that something in you still believes, even when it hurts. That flicker got you through storms. It's what carried you through sleepless nights when your heart felt too heavy to carry. It's what kept your spirit from breaking even when your world cracked open. It's what allowed you to keep dreaming when life gave you reasons to stop. And that's no small thing. That makes you stronger than you know. But strength alone isn't the destination. You've got more than survival in you. You have the ability to create a life that reflects the power you carry within. The question is, are you ready to claim it? Most people are drifting. They don't even know they've fallen asleep with their eyes wide open. They go through the motions, responding to life instead of shaping it, reacting instead of deciding, living on autopilot instead of creating on purpose. But you're not like most people. You're waking up. You're noticing. And awareness is the beginning of every transformation. You don't have to wait for everything to be perfect to make a move. You don't have to have every detail figured out. That's the illusion. The truth is, movement creates momentum. Action brings clarity. And you generate alignment not by sitting still, but by deciding to move even before the path is fully lit. The universe doesn't wait to see if you're worthy. It mirrors your belief. What you believe becomes your experience. If you believe in scarcity, you'll find proof of lack. If you believe in possibility, you'll begin to see doors where there used to be walls. That's not magic, that's energy. That's the reflection of your inner world painting your outer reality. The people who seem to always land on their feet, who attract beauty and abundance, they aren't lucky. They've tuned their vision. They've trained their minds to scan for opportunity. They've chosen to see blessings even when things feel broken. That's what makes the difference. And you can choose that too. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. What you need is to remember. Remember what you're made of. Remember what's possible. Remember how powerful you truly are. That power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's silent. Sometimes it looks like getting up one more time. Sometimes it's simply choosing not to give up when you could. Even if you've tried before and slipped, even if you've lost progress, motivation, momentum, that doesn't erase your worth. That doesn't mean you're starting from zero. Every attempt, every lesson, every stumble, it's all part of your evolution. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present, choosing to show up again and again. Because each time you do, you become a little more aware, a little more grounded, a little more connected to who you really are and what you're here to do. Awareness is your compass. It shows you what you've been believing. It reveals what you've been repeating. And once you see it, you can change it. That's how you stop reacting and start responding. That's how you begin choosing your path instead of chasing someone else's version of success. Things begin to click, not because life suddenly got easier, but because you began to see clearly. You began to take ownership, and with that, your power returns. Slowly at first, but it builds. Right now, that shift is already underway. Something in you has changed, even if you can't quite define it yet. The fact that you're listening, feeling, absorbing, that's evidence. You're not the same person who pressed play. You're becoming more of yourself, more aware, more aligned, more intentional. And it's okay if no one notices. It's okay if no one claps for the work you're doing on the inside. Because that inner work, that quiet, unseen effort, is where the foundation of your future is laid. It's where everything else begins. Most people are waiting to feel proud, waiting for permission, waiting for someone to notice their progress before they let themselves celebrate it. But you don't need permission. You don't need applause. You're allowed to be proud of how far you've come, even if you're not yet where you want to be, because you're showing up, and that matters. You're aware. You're awake. You're choosing something more, and that choice is your power. You've always felt it, haven't you? That pull inside that tells you you're meant for more than just going through the motions. That ache in your spirit that knows you're here for more than just ticking boxes and paying bills. That quiet knowing that whispers there's something greater meant for you. That knowing isn't fantasy. That's your inner compass pointing you toward your purpose. That's your truth trying to rise to the surface. And it's not asking for perfection. It's not demanding that you hustle harder. It's inviting you to trust more, to believe deeper, to lean into the unknown with faith instead of fear. Even when things don't make sense, even when life feels like it's pulling you apart, there's wisdom in the unraveling. There's purpose in the breaking. Sometimes the cracks are the only way the light can get in, and sometimes discomfort is the only way transformation can happen. We resist change because it feels dangerous, but often what we're really afraid of is growth, because growth means letting go of stories, beliefs, identities we've clung to for safety. But safety doesn't always mean satisfaction, and comfort doesn't equal alignment. At some point, you have to decide, do you want to feel safe or do you want to feel alive? You're not here to repeat the same cycle forever. You're not here to relive your pain or play small so others feel comfortable. You're here to evolve, to expand, to become the version of yourself that your younger self dreamed about. and your future self already celebrates. You're not too late. You haven't missed your moment. You're not behind. You're right on schedule. Life unfolds in strange, unpredictable ways, and even the delays have purpose. Even the detours serve a design. Everything you've lived has led you here. Every win, every failure, every detour, every no you've heard, every door that stayed closed, it all shaped you, carved you, prepared you. You've been gathering strength for this very season, and now it's time to use it. If you've ever felt like you've wasted time, let this be your reminder. Nothing is wasted. Every experience added something essential. Every heartbreak softened something rigid. Every disappointment revealed something true. And all of it, the pain, the patience, the perseverance, was leading to this awakening, to this next chapter. You don't have to see the whole staircase to take the next step. You just have to trust the part of you that's still reaching. You just have to believe that the same energy that brought you here will carry you forward. You were never meant to live a life of quiet desperation. You were never meant to play small. You were born to rise, to shine, to stretch into the fullness of who you are. Not later, not someday, but now. There's a quiet kind of revolution happening within you right now. It doesn't come with loud declarations or flashing signs, but with a sense of recognition, a deep, resonant feeling that something important is shifting. You might not know exactly what it is yet, or what it means, but you can feel it pressing against your chest, curling in your stomach, whispering in your thoughts. That whisper is not random. It's the voice of something within that refuses to settle. It's the energy of possibility waking up from a long sleep. You've spent so much of your life pushing, striving, surviving, always reaching for some distant milestone, always trying to prove you're enough. Enough for the world, enough for others, sometimes just enough for yourself. But that chase, it's exhausting. And somewhere along the way you started to realize that no achievement, no amount of praise, no finish line ever fully fills that hollow space inside. That space doesn't need another accomplishment. It needs truth. It needs alignment. It needs you. You don't need to become anything more to be worthy of the life you want. That's the lie the world sold you, that you have to earn your place in your own story. But your existence is already proof that you belong. You fought too many silent battles, cried too many private tears, held on through too many storms for your worth to ever be in question. The fact that you're still here, breathing, hoping, listening, that's your declaration. You've already proven you have what it takes. But knowing that is one thing, living it is another. And that's the part that takes courage, the decision to believe in your own power, even when everything around you tempts you to doubt. Because belief isn't just a feeling, it's a commitment, a decision to show up as if the outcome you want is already in motion, a willingness to walk forward even when the path isn't clear, a trust that the things inside of you, the dreams, the intuition, the quiet inner fire, they're not accidents, they're assignments. You've been taught to look outward for permission, for validation, for someone to point at you and say, "You're ready now." But readiness doesn't come from outside. It's not a badge you earn. It's a choice you make. And sometimes, the only approval you need is your own. Think back to the moments when you felt alive, not just happy, not just comfortable, truly alive. Those moments didn't come when you were trying to meet expectations. They came when you were honest, when you took a risk, when you allowed yourself to move beyond fear and into something real. That aliveness, that spark, that's your guide. That's your signal. Follow that. You won't always feel confident. You won't always feel brave. And that's okay. Bravery isn't about being fearless. It's about acting in spite of fear. It's about honoring the tug in your soul more than the noise of your doubt. It's about showing up without certainty and saying, I'm doing it anyway. There's a part of you that already knows how to do this. It's the same part that pulled you through grief, through uncertainty, through the days when hope felt like a luxury you couldn't afford. That part of you, the inner survivor, the intuitive dreamer, the quiet believer, it's been waiting for this moment, waiting for you to notice, waiting for you to remember. Because the truth is, your potential isn't hiding. It's right here, underneath the noise, beneath the fear, buried under layers of what the world told you was possible. You don't have to go find it. You just have to uncover it. You just have to trust that you were made for more than going through the motions. You were made to create, to feel, to grow, to impact. And your very presence, your very being, holds value the world hasn't even fully seen yet. The journey ahead won't always be easy. There will be days when everything feels heavy, when progress feels invisible, when doubt creeps in like fog. But don't let those moments define you. Let them refine you. Let them teach you how resilient you are. Let them remind you that growth often disguises itself as discomfort. And in those moments, return to yourself. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Remember who you are beneath the noise, beneath the expectations, beneath the wounds and the winds. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not your fears. You are the observer of all those things. And the observer holds the power to change the narrative. You are not stuck. You are becoming. And becoming takes time. It takes grace. It takes repetition. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to quit, even when everything in you is tired, even when the road ahead is unclear, even when you're scared, especially then. Because the moments you keep going are the moments that redefine your story, the moments that build the kind of strength that doesn't scream, but radiates, the kind of strength that people feel when you walk into a room. Even if they don't know your story, that's what you're building now. And let's be honest, this isn't about hustle. This isn't about pushing harder. This is about realignment. This is about choosing to live in a way that reflects who you are instead of who you've been told to be. This is about releasing the roles that no longer fit and writing a new chapter that feels like home. And that chapter, it begins with presence. Not someday, not once everything's perfect, now, because the now is where your power lives, not in regrets about the past, not in anxiety about the future, in this breath, in this step, in this choice. You've spent enough time shrinking, enough time questioning your voice, enough time apologizing for taking up space. This is your invitation to expand, to speak, to take up all the room your soul needs. Because the world needs people who are fully alive, people who are willing to love with their whole hearts, to lead with integrity, to create from a place of authenticity. You might be wondering if it's too late, if you've missed your chance. But here's the truth. Life is not linear. Purpose is not punctual. And transformation doesn't arrive on a predictable schedule. Your journey is unfolding at its own divine pace, and every step, every stumble, every stillness has meaning. You're not behind. You're blooming on time. And you don't need to see the entire map to trust the direction. Sometimes the next step is the only one you need to take, and once you do, the next appears. That's how momentum works. That's how faith works. That's how lives change, not through perfect plans, but through imperfect, courageous action. What you're hearing now isn't just encouragement. It's a reminder a remembering of who you've always been underneath the noise, of what you've always carried even when it felt invisible. You're not being called to be someone else. You're being called back to yourself. And in that return, you'll find freedom. Freedom to let go of timelines that never fit. Freedom to release stories that don't serve. Freedom to stop waiting for permission and start living from your truth. You don't need to explain that truth to anyone. You just need to live it. And when you do, everything shifts. Not because the world changes overnight, but because your relationship with it does. You stop chasing things that drain you. You stop settling for crumbs. You stop abandoning yourself to be liked. Instead, you begin moving with intention, with grace, with power. People might not understand it. They might question your choices, your silence, your peace. Let them. They don't need to get it. They don't need to validate your journey. They're not the ones living it. You are. And you deserve to live it fully, fiercely, freely. So what does that look like? It looks like honoring your boundaries, protecting your peace, choosing your joy, speaking your truth, saying yes to your soul even when it's inconvenient. It looks like listening to your intuition instead of your insecurity. It looks like allowing yourself to take up space, to shine, to rest, to rise. It's not about changing everything overnight. It's about making a single choice and then another. It's about showing up with honesty. It's about being patient with your process. It's about forgiving yourself when you fall and celebrating yourself when you get back up. Because every step matters. Every breath is sacred. Every moment is part of the masterpiece. And your masterpiece, it's already unfolding, even if you can't see it clearly yet. Even if it still looks messy. Even if it doesn't look like anyone else's, especially then. You weren't made to follow a script. You were made to write your own. And the pen is in your hands now. If you need a reminder, let this be it. You are not broken. You are breaking through. You are not lost. You are being guided. You are not behind. You are right where you need to be. You are not weak. You are becoming stronger through every test. You are not failing. You are learning, healing, shedding, becoming. And that becoming, it never stops. Not because you're not enough, but because you're infinite. And every version of you deserves to be lived, loved, expressed. You're not here to shrink. You're here to rise. Not with perfection, but with presence, with power, with purpose. And if you're still listening, if your heart is still open, then you already know this moment matters. This choice matters. This version of you, the one that's curious, open, brave enough to keep going, is the beginning of something extraordinary. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to keep choosing truth over fear, vision over doubt, becoming over pretending, because you're not waiting anymore. You're rising. You've come far, farther than most will ever see. And even though the journey has left you bruised, it has also carved something sacred into your spirit. It's shaped a quiet strength that no one can take away from you. Not circumstances, not time, not other people's opinions. That strength didn't come from ease. It was forged through struggle, through standing back up when you had every reason not to, through loving yourself inch by inch when the world didn't make it easy. And now, here you are, still breathing, still listening, still growing. You didn't arrive here by mistake. You were pulled, drawn by something beyond logic, something that lives in the marrow of who you are. You've always known there was more even when you couldn't name it. A deeper rhythm calling you back to your own heartbeat. A stillness inside the chaos asking you to remember. Not to become someone new, but to strip away everything that isn't truly you. The truth is, So much of what you've believed was never yours to carry. Expectations that didn't belong to you, guilt that wasn't rooted in truth, fear handed down from people who never gave themselves permission to dream. You've inherited burdens disguised as rules, what you should be, how you should behave, what success should look like. But should is a chain, and chains were made to be broken. This is your moment to do just that, to shed everything that never fit, to release the weight of pretending, to stop performing for approval you no longer need, because real peace doesn't come from playing a role. It comes from standing in your truth, even when your voice trembles, even when your knees shake. It comes from claiming your identity without apology, from saying, "This is who I am," and meaning it with your whole being. You don't need anyone else to understand your path. You don't need everyone to agree with your choices. Your journey was never meant to be validated by the crowd. It was meant to be lived fully by you. The whispers of doubt, the shadows of uncertainty, they'll show up. But they don't define you. They're just noise. And the more you listen to yourself, the quieter they become. Think about it. How many times have you silenced your instincts because you didn't want to be judged? How often have you said yes when everything inside you screamed no? You're not alone in that. We've all done it. But you've grown. And now you see it. You hear the difference between fear and intuition. And that awareness is your gift. From this moment forward, you get to rewrite the rules. Not based on tradition, not based on fear, but based on truth, your truth. You don't need to chase approval. You need to honor alignment. That means trusting your body when it tightens in resistance, trusting your heart when it flutters with curiosity, trusting your soul when it whispers, "This is the way." Alignment isn't a checklist, it's a feeling, a knowing. It's the ease that comes when your actions reflect your essence. And the more you choose that alignment, the more natural it becomes. Like breathing, like waking up and remembering what you were always meant to do. That's what power looks like. Not dominance, not control, but deep, grounded, unshakable self-trust. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to wait for it. You don't have to earn it, you simply choose it. One breath at a time, one decision at a time. And when you do, something wild and beautiful begins to happen. The world rearranges itself to meet your energy. Doors you thought were locked start to swing open. People you once had to chase begin to meet you where you are. Opportunities that seemed out of reach begin to find their way to you. Not because you forced them, but because you finally allowed them in. That's not luck. That's resonance. That's the magnetic pull of authenticity. That's what happens when your internal landscape matches what you want to experience externally. When you stop chasing and start aligning, life feels less like a battle and more like a dance. This isn't a fantasy. This is the natural order of energy. You attract what reflects your beliefs, your vibration, your decisions. So when you decide that you are already enough, when you truly believe it, you start to notice things shift. Suddenly, you stop settling for crumbs when you know you deserve the feast. You stop begging for love that hurts when you've realized you are love itself. You stop asking permission to grow when growth has always been your birthright. The truth is, you've been whole all along, not in some future version of yourself, but now. And the illusion of brokenness begins to fade when you stop looking outside for something to fill you and start turning inward to meet yourself. That meeting is sacred. That reunion between your present self and your highest self, that is the real awakening. Not because you've become someone new, but because you finally returned to who you were before the world told you to be anything else. That return might feel unfamiliar at first. That's okay. Healing often feels like losing parts of yourself before you remember they were never truly you. And as you let go, you'll notice something else rising, a quiet joy, a soft fire, a stillness that no one can shake. It's yours now. It's always been. You don't have to rush this process. It's not a race. There is no medal for reaching the finish line fastest, because the truth is, there is no finish line. Only layers to peel back, only moments to embrace, only deeper truths to uncover. There's a version of you who already knows this, who's already walking in freedom, already breathing in peace, already grounded in their purpose. That version is not far away. It's not someday, it's here. It's now. You meet them every time you choose authenticity over approval, every time you choose grace over guilt, every time you trust instead of fear. And every time you do that, you collapse the distance between who you've been and who you're becoming. It's not about pretending. It's not about forcing. It's about tuning your inner frequency to match your desired reality. Because when you act from the energy of already having what you seek, you begin creating it in real time. You walk with confidence, not because you have all the answers, but because you're at peace with the questions. You speak with conviction, not because everyone will understand, but because you finally understand yourself. You move through the world differently, not louder, but truer. And people feel it, even if they can't explain it, even if they can't name it. They'll know. They'll sense your shift. Some will be inspired. Others may feel uncomfortable. Let them. You're not responsible for other people's comfort. You're responsible for your truth. And when you live from that truth, you give others permission to do the same. That's how change begins. Not through loud declarations, but through quiet revolutions, through one person daring to live fully, through one soul refusing to dim. And make no mistake, you're already doing it. Just by listening, just by considering, just by choosing to stay open, you're shifting. You're becoming the example someone else needed. You're lighting the path not just for yourself, but for everyone who crosses your wake. This is how legacy is built, not in grand gestures, but in choosing presence, choosing healing, choosing growth. So if you're still holding on to the idea that you're not ready, let it go. If you're waiting for perfect conditions, they're not coming. The only thing required is your willingness to begin, to say yes, to honor the nudge that brought you here. You've already taken the first step, now take the next. It doesn't have to be big, it just has to be honest. One thought, one breath, one brave word. That's how the ground begins to move beneath your feet. And if fear rises, because it will, know this. Fear is not a stop sign. It's just a signal that you're touching something important, something sacred, something real. Don't turn away from it. Move through it. Let it teach you, but don't let it cage you. You are not your fear. You are the presence watching it rise and fall. You are the witness. And the witness holds the power to choose differently. So choose. Choose yourself. Choose peace. Choose depth. Choose joy. Choose to believe that what's meant for you is not behind you. It's unfolding now, not because of luck, not because of force, but because you're finally aligned with it. And if you ever forget, because we all do, return to this moment, to this feeling, to this breath. Let it anchor you. Let it remind you, you are not broken, you are opening. You are not lost, you are arriving. You are not too late. You are just beginning. And there's more waiting for you. More freedom, more beauty, more love, not in some faraway someday, but right here, in the quiet courage of your next step. So take it. Your future is waiting.